Hey plant friends, welcome back. It's a chilly March day outside. The sun keeps coming in and out. Feels amazing when the sun's out, but when it's not, it's a little chilled. I am going to be pruning some fruit trees, hydrangeas, some other bushes I have. Try to get some yard cleanup done from the snowstorm we had a few weeks ago. So some supplies I have. This book. I love this book. I've had it for a long time. It's a great reference guide for pruning. It goes into detail with shrubs and all sorts of stuff, flowers, trees. So I like to use this as a reference to make sure I'm pruning the right thing, especially when I'm not sure. I have some loppers just in case some big branches I need to cut up, some small pruners, and a tree saw for tree branches. I also brought out some rubbing alcohol and cotton balls to wipe down in between each tree. I'll wipe down the pruners or loppers or saw in between just to make sure everything's clean, nothing's being transferred from one thing to another. Also have my pop-up bag for trash removal. Let's see what we can get done. These fruit trees I'm growing are only a couple of years old, so I'm not pruning too much. I don't want to take too much away from what is grown already. I get a little nervous pruning too much. I'm afraid I'm gonna mess up and not have it grow right, so I'm just referring to the book to make my cuts. This is a peach tree. It's a bit small. I had an issue the first year it grew, so I'm just going to prune very little on this. I'm going to start down here, get this sucker. I did spray these trees with dormant spray previously. That helps with any pests or bugs or anything that could have overwintered. So that's already been done. Prune off any scraggly branches as well. That doesn't look like it would have survived the winter. We did have some winter damage as well, but there is green, so it is alive. So I'm not going to prune too much off of this either, just because it's so tiny. This is a dwarf, what is it? A dwarf Honeycrisp. Can't wait to get apples off of this, yum. So this branching right here in particular I don't like because they're crossing over and it's kind of going back in where this one is crossing out, so I'm just going to prune it just above the neck here. Here's another example. These two are this one's crossing over right here. Right there, it's crossing over. I had to go do school pickup, and doing that I was reading about the apple pruning, and with the dwarf apples we prune it a little bit different. It says 3-year-old growth has spurs. Prune some growth back to lowest spurs to encourage replacement spurs. By a tree's third winter, a number of lateral shoots will have grown out from the branches. Choose some of these branches to form, with the first branches the main structure of the tree. They should all point outward, and their tips, after pruning, should be at least 18 inches apart. Cut all main branches back to an outward pointing bud. All right, let's start with that. Step 1. So these are the lateral shoots, I'm guessing. I lost some of them. This one's kind of going lateral. This one's lateral. But I lost some of these, so I don't know. Alright, I don't see too much lateral growth. I'm going to try treating this as a 2-year plant. So it says cut back weak growth down to 2 buds, so that's this one. So what I am doing here is taking the stake from the pear tree that doesn't need it anymore and bringing it over to the dwarf Honeycrisp apple that is leaning a bit, so it needs a little extra support. This is just an old bamboo stake. I will be replacing it, but this is what I had at the moment. Okay, let's tie this back. This is just a soft string I have for now. I'll have to get the appropriate tree support that you use. This is how I tied it for now. It'll work. This isn't the best support for that, but we'll make that work and I'll get the proper support this year. Before I do anything else, clean these. Some rubbing alcohol. And this one is just getting way too tall. I don't want it to be that tall. I want more of these branches to come out. So I'm going to trim this one down to here to a good solid bud. I think this one. Cut it just above it. Okay. There we go. Too many scraps. Next up, hydrangeas. Alright, this hydrangea had some storm damage, so I'm forced to prune this back. On that one, that's a bummer. Everything else I'm going to prune it back a third, just above a node, and prune off any weak branches that wouldn't support flowers. I've had this in the ground for, this is the second year I've had it. It's done really well. This one's just in the way of everything. I think that looks really good. I'm very happy with that. That turned out wonderful. All right, one more. This one I'm a little more hesitant with. It's a little more spindly. Doesn't get as much sun as the other ones, so I don't know if ultimately it needs to be moved. I did prune it a little more severely. We'll see what happens. This crab apple was here when I moved in. It wasn't very well taken care of, but this last snowstorm, I lost a big branch. It was half broken, so I had to cut it the rest of the way down. It was not salvageable. Okay, that's it for me. The day kind of got away from me. I didn't get as much done as I thought. But I did get pruning done of the fruit trees. I got this big branch cut down. I will toss in the burn pile, and I have to go make dinner. I hope you found that enjoyable. Thanks, spring. Take care. Be well. Bye-bye.